Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. My name, of course, is Orbital Potato. Welcome to a little bit of a unique, a little bit of an interesting video. This is my 2019 strategy game tier list, where I'm going to basically rank all of the games that I played on the YouTube channel and on stream, and I'm going to rank them. I'm going to rank them on a scale of brilliant to glorified trash, as you can see right here. Now, the reason that this gets a little bit interesting and a little bit nuanced is because there are multiple factors to consider. First of all, and the most important one is probably to consider how much did I actually enjoy playing the game. There are some games on this list, which I absolutely did not enjoy playing, but I really enjoyed recording the games. So the experience that I had was actually quite fun. So, you know, the people that I was playing with made the game actually quite interesting and tolerable. So we're gonna have to factor that into the equation. The other thing is how well does it run? How great an experience did I have playing the game? You know, sort of from a technical standpoint, there's just a lot to consider. There's a lot that goes into to sort of ranking this. Now, before we get started, there's a couple of things that I want to say, just sort of like brief little bits of housekeeping. If you want to make your own list, you can do that. See if you can make a better list than I can. I'm going to make a little bit of a prediction at the end of the video about where I think you guys are going to rank some of the games and how that's going to sort of contrast with my ranking. But, you know, do feel free to make your own, and also join the Discord and post your strategy game 2019 strategy game tier list in the Discord as well, so that I can see exactly what you guys think. Because I'm genuinely very curious to see how you rate all of the nonsense that we have in front of us. The second thing that I want to say, the glorified trash level. Now, I mean, in order for a game to be glorified trash, it's gotta be actually trash. I mean, there is one game on this list which I know straight away. Tell me in the comments if you can spot it, because, I mean, there is one game on this list which I know will be going in that glorified trash level. Straight away, without a doubt. And that's the only game that I can actually see that will be going in the glorified trash level, because it is actually trash. It's not even glorified. It's just absolutely garbage. But I don't want to end up like sticking like loads and loads of games in there. It needs to be really bad if it ends up at that level. Anyway, yeah. So this tier list is a great opportunity for me to chat about all of the series that I did in 2019. It's a great opportunity for me to rank them all. A great opportunity to talk about all of the collaborations that I did, and just in general, just have a little bit of a natter, a little bit of a catch up, and see what the heck is actually going on. So without further ado, I feel like we should get started. The other thing that I should probably mention is that this list is like roughly alphabetical. But not super alphabetical. And straight away, I think we should probably start up at the top left. We should probably start with Academia School Simulator. Now, as we go through, inevitably there are going to be changes. There are going to be changes to the way in which I rank. I mean, I could stick this in straight at a B level and then immediately degrade it to a C level if I think otherwise. But you know, for now I think we'll probably stick it in as a C level. I feel like Academia School Simulator is between C or D. Now, I played the expansion update, which bought a bunch of new ways to like expand the school grounds. The real problem with this game is that it runs on like very straight tracks. Very straight tracks. So it's a very linear experience. You basically play through the tutorial, and the entire game is basically, you know, chasing grants, and I'm not sure that I really like that. Let's put it in as a C. Let's be a little bit generous. I can't badly rank like an indie game. There's also like that to consider. It's like, if it's made by like very few number of people, and I know the devs and they're working hard at it, can I really give it that bad of a rank? I should probably mention if I've had like interaction with the developers, just in case that sort of mixes the views up a little bit. I think we'll start with a C. But we'll give it latitude to go down to a D if it needs. Okay, so Academia, we're opening with a C. I feel like that's fair. Aquaculture, right? This was another little bit of a weird one. I feel like this also deserves to be in the C tier. The gameplay in this was a little bit janky. It was a little bit funky. I kind of dug the environment in which it's set. I mean, there's not very many games where you play as the owner of a fish farm, but I mean, this game didn't really have that much, and the whole electricity thing was a little bit weird, and getting the sort of salination of all of the different ponds, that was kind of strange. I think C tier again, with like latitude to go down to D. I mean, definitely these two games, the first two games on the list, nothing special. Yeah, not entirely sure that was a great opener, but that's where we are. That's where we are for now. Right, Archeo Shinar. Now, this was a game I think I played like right at the end of 2019, although it did come out in 2019 in like September. So this is definitely deserving to be on this list. And I think honestly we're gonna open up with a B here. I mean, I had a great little time with this game. It was really good for what it is. Also, we can chat a little bit about the thumbnail design as we go through, because there are a couple of different like design themes in the thumbnails, which we'll discuss as we go through. But I think opening Archeo Shinar at a B, cute little expedition based game. Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. If it's going anywhere, it's going down. I feel like I might be too generous with all of these rankings, but that's okay. We can always redo this. We can always redo this later as we go. But Archeo Shinar opening at a B. Right, now we get to one of the first, in fact, we get to the first game which I collaborated on. This was a collaboration with Rito of Retromation. Rito of Retromation on the live stream, actually, and it was real fun. It was real fun. Thoroughly enjoyed playing with him through this game. It was real good. I think we gotta go for an A on this game, actually. I think this is the first game where I'm pretty convinced that an A is a worthy reward. I mean, Astroneer, super great fun game. Playing it with Rito was real good as well. That was thoroughly a genuinely enjoyable experience. Yeah, so I think that's a reasonable ranking for Astroneer. I don't think that's unfair at all. Right, at the gates, I think it's got to be a D. This game came out in 2019. Definitely needed work. I haven't played it in ages. I mean, the flippin' series ended with a bug. I mean, that is unacceptable. Whenever I have to end an actual series because of a bug, I mean, you know that you done goofed up if I literally want to play the game, but I can't play the game. So, I mean, that's off to a pretty bad start. I feel like that's not brilliant. I also don't know how much the game has been updated since I played it, so I can't really pass judgment other than the judgment that I made at the time that I played it. So we'll go for that. Man, I feel like the A's are really quite boring games. I mean, why can't we wait? You know, get into For the King, Oxygen Not Included, Mindustry. All of these games are a lot more exciting than the games that I played in A. Right, Ultima Chef. I mean, I played this game for like one single episode. I might return to it and do it on stream at some point, because I did have a pretty good time. I feel like this has got to be a B. I have a special affinity for process management games, as I'm sure you will know. And Ultima Chef, I keep saying that. Ultima Chef definitely deserves to be highly commended, but I don't think it's like super highly commended. We're still chasing that S tier, you know, but I'm sure we'll get there. Anyway, yeah, so Ultima Chef, pretty good. It's worth noting, by the way, that I did a bespoke thumbnail for this, so I like highlighted the grill or whatever in Photoshop. So that's something to note. Not worth noting more than that, but it's something at least. Right, Ultimation Empire, game that I picked up just towards the end of 2019. It was really good. I actually think that this is an A tier game. This game needs a lot of work. It was pretty easy to beat, to be honest. I mean, if I'm able to beat a game pretty much completely unimpeded, then you know it's probably pretty darn easy. But Automation Empire was good. Automation Empire was real nice. I had a great little time with that, actually. The one thing that I would say is that it was just too easy. The research mechanic needs to change. And that would probably take it up to an S tier. I think it probably will achieve an S tier, at least in my mind, because I like process management games. But for now, I think definitely A, maybe moving it down to a B at some point. That would be acceptable. I think A's probably a good place for it to be. Beekeeper. Okay, now Beekeeper. There's an interesting little story behind Beekeeper. So, I played Beekeeper. I didn't really enjoy it, but I played it nonetheless. The game is janky as anything. The game is janky as anything. It's made, obviously, by a fairly small studio, indie development studio. I played the game, and because not many YouTubers have indeed played the game, I got like a tweet from the devs saying we're gonna keep working on this game and we're gonna make it better, and I felt really quite bad for slating this game. I don't know if I slated it, but I mean I probably didn't go easy on it because I mean it's kind of garbage. Laying down the truths here, but it is kind of garbage, and I did feel kind of bad about how the devs like tweeted at me and said that they were going to keep working on it. So I mean that doesn't really change anything in my mind. I mean maybe this game could reach the glorified trash levels, because it is pretty bad. It is pretty bad. It is pretty like feature absent. There's no features. There's no gameplay. There's some stupid expansion mechanic about you can buy more land for more bees. It's just not good. It's just not good. You know what? Maybe I've talked myself into it. Maybe that is actually glorified trash. I certainly wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I would certainly recommend to anyone not to pick it up. I would certainly say don't buy it if you can avoid it, which you absolutely can. So yeah, don't pick that one up. Just steer clear of that. Maybe I'm a little bit harsh on it. But yeah, fine. We'll leave it there for now. Okay, the next one is really interesting. The next one is very, very interesting indeed. So Brewer. This is a game all about running a brewery. And I had a blast with this game. This was the interface is absolutely shocking. The interface is absolutely abysmal, and it's a complete nightmare to play. But it was actually quite enjoyable. So I feel like under normal circumstances, this would be a D. However, I think I'm going to rank it a C. I think I'm going to rank it a C along with Academia and Aquaculture. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I think that there have been some improvements. I don't know, I can't speak to that. But certainly, it was just really fun, just like brewing and making your own beer. Again, you know, the interface was terrible, and that really brought the game down in my estimations a lot. But I mean, there's just something satisfying about brewing your own beer. I don't know, maybe that's just my own biases slipping into this list. But I mean, if this game isn't about my own biases, I don't know what this list is for then. So there we go. Right. Okay. So Forager. This is not in alphabetical order. This is also not a game that I played on the channel, although I did play it on the stream, twitch.tv/orbitalpotato. You're gosh darn right. And I think this has got to be our first S tier game. Without a shadow of a doubt, Forager, absolutely phenomenal little game, little sort of idle clicker where you have to actually play the game. It's real fun. It's a puzzle game. It's not something that I usually play, but it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant in a way that not many other games can be. It was truly fantastic, and I'm going to be playing the brand new Nuclear update at some point, either this week or the week after. Yeah, that is very, very, very deserving of our first S tier game, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, all right. Next, we get to City Skylines, and specifically the campus expansion. I mean, it's City Skylines. I like City Skylines. The problem with City Skylines is that I feel like every city that I end up building always ends up the same. I like it a lot, but I feel like B tier is probably right about where it needs to be. I feel like I'm ranking both the game and also the expansion at the same time. And I feel like that's fair. Sticking it in at B level, yeah. I mean, the campus expansion was good. I liked it. City Skylines in general, pretty good. I also like it. I feel like B is the home of, yeah, I enjoyed this enough, but I didn't have a great time with it, if you know what I mean. Like, I didn't want to play, like, for 10 hours in a row. Astroneer, I definitely wanted to play 10 hours in a row. Automation Empire, I literally did play 10 hours in a row. I mean, I recorded so much of that game ahead in advance. And Forager, I literally completed the game over the course of, like, 2 6 or 7 hour streams. So, yeah, these games I've all, like, blasted through and played a bunch. I think that that's a good metric, right? So B tier is like, yeah, I played it. I had a time. It was a time. And C tier is like, I could have played less of it and been okay with that. Right, so I played Democracy 3. Democracy 3 is notable because it came out in like 2013 for the first time, and then there were subsequent DLC releases. So I played as the USSR. It was pretty good. It was pretty good fun. I had a great time with this. I mean, Democracy 3 needs to be an A tier game in my mind. I feel like this is a little bit of a cheaty one because it's not really a 2019 game. That playthrough, by the way, I think was just at the start of 2019. So if you don't want to rank Democracy 3 in your own lists, I completely understand. However, I had a good time with it. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was great. And yeah, I don't think there's much more to say. I think I've talked about Democracy so much on the channel before. I love it. It's a great game. I always want to play more. So yeah, I think A tier, pretty reasonable. I don't think it's quite S tier. It's not quite, you know, I want to sit down and play the whole game 5 times in a row in one sitting. But I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty darn good. Production Line, specifically the Design Variety Pack. I actually played Production Line twice in 2019. Once just the base game. Well, the base game with doors that go like this and the doors that go like that. But specifically the Design Variety Pack is what I'm ranking right now. I think that's got to go C tier. I think that's got to go C tier for 2 reasons. First of all, the Design Variety Pack is, I should also say, I do know the developer in this occasion. I think C tier is fair for a couple of reasons. One, the Design Variety Pack doesn't like change up the way that the game is played, and I still like have some issues with the way that the game is played. It's the process of like assembling cars to me is the fun bit. The process of selling cars is the least fun bit. So there's sort of a bit of a disconnect between manufacturing the car and then selling the car subsequently, which I'm not a huge fan of. And the whole Design Variety Pack thing just adds to the whole selling car side, if that makes sense. And I'm just not a huge fan. I just want to make money and design production processes and optimize like strategies and stuff. That's kind of my jam. I'm not so interested in the whole selling the car thing. That's not really why I'm here. But there we go. But anyway, yeah, Production Line, it's a good game. It's a really good game. And I feel under other circumstances it would definitely be a B tier game, maybe even an A tier game. If the circumstances was right, if the wind was blowing in the right direction, it would be an A tier game for sure. Right, Despotism 3K. This was like the first game of 2019, I think, that actually, I don't want to say blew up on my channel, but it got fairly big. It did fairly well, and honestly, it's a brilliant game developed by, I think, a bunch of a couple of Russian guys. It's fantastic. The pop culture references are phenomenal. Even I get them. Even me, Orbital Potato, I get them. I think this is an A tier game. I don't think that that's disputable. It's really cheap. It's really indie. It's really nice. I think it's brilliant. I really enjoy it. I actually enjoyed the spit out of that game. That was such a great game. I might even go back and play that again. I haven't played it in a while. I know there's been a couple of balance patches, but or a couple of like patches which have changed some mechanics. But yeah, brilliant game. Okay, cool. Next things next. EarthX. So EarthX is a game that I did like a one-off video for. It's a SpaceX sort of clone game where you play as literally SpaceX. There's not much, or there wasn't much in the game when I played it. However, I follow the dev on Twitter, and I know that there's been a bunch of updates. I think this will go in C tier. I think this will go in C tier only because the game was so feature barren. That was the word that I was looking for earlier. Feature barren. Only because the game was so feature barren at the time that I played it. I wouldn't like to put it in B tier and overpromise that the game has improved since that time, but I feel like C tier is an appropriate place for it. I reckon this game could probably achieve B tier, maybe even A tier, if the devs keep on working hard at it and making some changes. Because I like this game. I like this game a lot, but it was basically a demo. That's the thing. It was basically a demo when I played it, and there wasn't very much there. But I think it's going to improve, and I think it's going to be great. Right, so Evil Bank Manager. Okay, I've told this story a couple of times, but Evil Bank Manager, I have a mixed experience with an Evil Bank Manager. So the first thing that I'm going to point out is that you can just about see here the old design scheme that I sort of had on my thumbnails. This was sort of coming into 2019. I sort of had this potato with OP up in the top left-hand corner. Now I've got, as you know, the orbital potato thing in the bottom left corner, which I much prefer, by the way. But yeah, so this is still there, and there's a couple of other things, I think. Yeah, Kingdom 2 Crowns has got it as well. Yeah, whatever, doesn't matter. So Evil Bank Manager, I played this game before there was a tutorial, before there was even like a significant amount of like English localization. So I got a lot of flack. I got a lot of flack for basically people saying that I didn't know how to play the game, which was actually true. And not something that I dispute. However, it's kind of difficult to know how to play the game when the game instructions are all in a completely different language, and you just sort of have to guess. But what happened subsequently was that the developers did a bunch of localization, and a bunch more people came to the game, and they all said, "How does this orbital potato guy not know how to play the game?" Well, because at the time, there was no English localization, or there was no English tutorial localization. All the tutorial was in Russian. But the game is great. That also sort of blew up on the channel a little bit. Did pretty darn well. I think this is also got to be an A tier. I think I was one of the first people to sort of play that on YouTube. So that and Despotism 2K were sort of 3K. Both did really, really well on the channel. And I really enjoyed both of them, actually. I really enjoyed both of them. I wanted to play more. Once I sort of got the hang of Evil Bank Manager, we were flying. I mean, the gameplay loop is a little bit repetitive, but I know for a fact that the developers made a bunch of changes to make it easier just to sort of go through the motions in Evil Bank Manager. But yeah, that's a great game, actually. That's a great game, and I was super happy with how that turned out. Also, quite like the thumbnail on that one. Quite like the thumbnail. In fact, I quite like all of the thumbnails that I've done over the course of 2019. 2019, for me, was the thumbnail year. The year of great thumbnails. Well, not necessarily the year of great thumbnails, but the year of thumbnails that I'm really proud of. And maybe I'll make a tier list. Let me know if you want to see a tier list of me ranking all of my thumbnails from all time. That would be pretty fun. I still have them all. In a folder on my computer. So if you're interested in seeing a tier list of me ranking my own thumbnails, that would potentially be quite fun. Okay. Let me know in the comments. Okay, so we've done Evil Bank Manager. Let's go to Factory Town. I beat Factory Town, which is something that I'm shocked about. I did not expect to beat Factory Town. There's been a significant number of changes since I actually ended up playing it. I think this has got to be an S tier game. Straight up. Just having a sip of tea there, just to keep you in the know. I think this has got to be an S tier game. It's developed by one dude. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I think Rito actually got me the code for Factory Town. So massive props to him for doing that, because I love this game. I think I recorded almost all of it in like 2 or 3 sessions. That's how much fun I had with it. It was like 25 episode series. I think the episodes were probably a bit shorter, 30 minutes or so. But yeah, great game. Really, really great sort of process game, and the environment that you play in is just so adorable. It's so adorable. Everyone's so cute. It's really great. It's really great. I really enjoyed Factory Town. I think it's also very deserving of the S tier level for sure. Okay. Right, Flotsam. Flotsam means supposedly little bits of garbage that float on the top of the water, which is exactly what you do in this game. You collect a whole bunch of garbage that floats on the top of the water, and I feel like this immediately my brain is drawn to ranking this as like a C tier game. The reason that I think it's a C tier game is because, first of all, the gameplay loop, very, very repetitive. Very, very repetitive on the first occasion. Very, very repetitive. There's almost no content once you, like, do the first run. So you go through the game, you progress from, like, location to location, and each location that you go to, the gameplay loop is very repetitive, as I've just mentioned. So you do the same things, you send out the same boats, you do all this, yada, yada, yada. And then the game literally goes back to the start, and you repeat the entire sort of process, which isn't great. The other thing that I'm a little bit worried about is that I initially saw, like, the demo for this game in, like, 2018, and it was, like, a year and a bit from the demo coming out, or from me seeing the demo on Twitter to the game actually coming out, and the differences between the demo and the game releasing, pretty minimal. I mean, there was pretty much no difference. Now, I appreciate, obviously, it takes a heck of a lot of work and a heck of a lot of time to make a game. However, it just doesn't fill me with a great amount of enthusiasm in terms of, like, the development timescale of this game and how quickly that we're going to see improvements actually made. So I'm a little bit apprehensive about putting Flotsam any higher. I just don't think we're likely to see any improvements in the short term for this game. Although in the long term, I'm fairly certain that it'll be definitely a B, maybe an A tier game. Right, For the King. Okay, I mean, I had an absolute blast with this game. So this specifically was the Kraken Hunting series. I've done, I don't know, like 4 For the King series now, like 3 with Rhapsody, and then 1 with Rhapsody and Rito. And I mean, straight up, this has got to be an S tier game. This would be an S tier game if I hadn't played with Rito and Rhapsody, because it is just such a great game, and honestly, one of the most underrated games of all time. When I suggested it to Rhapsody originally for the original series, I was shocked, first of all, that no one was playing it, because I mean, it's a phenomenal game, and secondly, I was just shocked that it had like slipped under absolutely everyone's radar. So nobody was playing it. What I mean by that is nobody was playing it on YouTube. So I mean, it was a great game to pick up and play just because it was a good game to play, but also there was not very many players on Steam. I think that has now changed. They've released on like a bunch of consoles as well, so that's good. But I mean, recording that series, genuinely one of the most, in fact, probably the best series to record of all of 2019 for sure. I mean, there were so many iconic moments in that series, so many iconic moments. I think that was the first series that I did properly with Rito. And it was great. That was the series where I really got to know Rito. Great guy, wonderful time playing For the King there. And Rhapsody was as witty and as humorous as ever. So yeah, I think that series worked really well. The three of us, we had an absolute romp, if I can speak for them for just a second, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, so that's definitely an S tier game. Hearts of Iron. This was this was the Man the Guns expansion, yes, but it was the Unite the Anglosphere series that I did. So the mission was basically to try and get every single sort of like English-speaking country to become part of to become part of your empire, I guess. So it involved conquering the US, as you can see, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Obviously, I was playing as the UK there. It was really fun, actually. It was really fun. I don't think I actually succeeded in the series to win. The Man the Guns expansion, pretty good. I mean, I'm not a huge Hearts of Iron 4 player. I think it's got to be C tier, but I think that this is a bit of a weird one because the reason that I'm putting this as at a C tier is that I feel like I don't have the capability to properly like evaluate how enjoyable that game actually is. I feel like that's maybe fair. But I really enjoyed the campaign. I really enjoyed playing the game. I'm just not that great at it. It's quite complex, and I'm not that great at it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Okay. Next thing, Iratus, Lord of the Dead. I did this series for a little bit, and then kind of realized that it wasn't my style. I did actually enjoy the game though, and I kind of got to this stage where I realized I need to make sure if I like want to get good at this game, I need to commit like a lot to it. So something that's really interesting to think about is so like Rito and Rhapsody, for example, and Alexa actually, all really good at like roguelikes. So so for example, the Binding of Isaac. If you went to Alexa or Rhapsody or Rito, any of those three actually, and you asked them what a specific item did in the Binding of Isaac, I almost guarantee you that 9 times out of 10 they'd all be able to give you the exact differences that item bestows upon you, whether it's fire rate up or damage up or health down by 2 and damage up by 3, whatever the case. And Iratus, sort of, for me, I sort of felt like if I wanted to get really good at it, I needed to memorize all of the different builds and all of the different damage. But I enjoyed it. I just didn't want to sort of have that level of commitment to a specific game. I think I'm much better at sort of playing through new games rather than just sort of like having, massive long series of one specific game, and I think I would have to do that in order to really commit to Iratus. But I had a blast with it when I played it, so I'm gonna stick it in. Yeah, I'm gonna stick it in a B tier. I'm gonna stick it in a C tier. Yeah, I think C tier is probably fair. I think that's a good place. That's a good home for it. I feel like that's not too bad. Right, moving swiftly onwards, we've got Islanders. Okay, so Islanders was an indie, relaxing, like town building game. Also, kind of a bit of a puzzle game, and a little bit of a Tetris style like stacking game. It was real good, actually. I think this is definitely a B tier. Definitely a B tier game. I only did like 5 episodes on this, but I had a blast with it, and it was super chill, and I kind of want to play more of it, to be honest. So yeah, I definitely think that's an appropriate place for it to be. Right, Jurassic World Evolution. So there's a lot that goes into this game. The first thing that I need to consider is how much fun did I have playing it. I would say on that scale, I had about a B. I would say that I enjoyed playing it. I had a time with Jurassic World Evolution. It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed having the original voice actors. So this is the Return to Jurassic Park DLC specifically that I played. I really enjoyed having the voice actors. I think I didn't have to buy the DLC. Now, if I had to buy the DLC for whatever it is, 15 or 20 pounds, which is like ludicrous for what you actually get, I think that I would probably have about a D time with it. I don't know, like it seems like a lot for a little bit of a tiny little brand new campaign, which I don't think was that interesting. So maybe we'll stick it in C. Maybe we'll stick it in C, I think, for now. But definitely with latitude to go down to a D. I feel like that's definitely conceivable when we have a little bit of a roundup. Right, Kingdom 2 Crowns. Kingdom 2 Crowns, this is a series that I did with Aldrahill. Great guy. Loved that, actually. I think that this is a B tier. I think that this is a B tier for a couple of reasons. The reason that it's not A tier. Kingdom 2 Crowns was really good. Had a great old time with it. Yeah, I mean, it didn't really differentiate itself from the original Kingdom, apart from the fact that it has 2 players. I don't really know what else there is to say about it. I mean, I had a good time with it. And to be honest, if I wasn't playing with Aldrahill, it would probably be a C tier. But because it was Aldrahill and we had a great chat about everything, and I still remember having conversations about food. That guy is super knowledgeable on food and all things food related. Yeah, if it hadn't been such a great time, if I didn't have such a great time recording it, I'd probably put it in as a C tier item, a C tier game, maybe a B tier game. Yeah. I feel like that's an okay place for it. I feel like we're actually in a fairly good place in terms of like graphs. You know, graphs that have like a big hump in the middle and then sort of like slowly trend off. I don't know what this technical term for that graph is, but we're sort of at that level where we've got very few on each extreme of the graph, and then a large number in the center, a large number of C tier games. We need to build out our D tier games as well. Okay, Little Big Workshop. This is the thumbnail from the Bigger and Better series that I did, the second series. I mean, this is an S tier. This is absolutely an S tier game. I mean, this did great on the channel. Did absolutely fantastic on the channel in 2019. Not to mention the fact that I never stopped enjoying that game. There were always optimizations that you could make. There were always improvements to your factory that you could make. The game was always challenging. The game never felt like it was too easy. You were constantly sort of like being pushed. The game was very, very well balanced, and the game just like worked from day one. The game was brilliant. There were no changes that were really needed. There were a couple of bug fixes and a couple of patches, but they didn't change the game. They didn't rebalance anything in any major way. There were no colossally large bugs that stopped you from playing the game. The game was released. The game was brilliant. I played the heck out of it. It was brilliant. Yeah, absolutely deserves to be in S tier, that one. And I did 2 series on it, so that's brilliant too. Mindustry, right. I mean, I played the campaign through on Mindustry. I feel like Mindustry was a little bit of a hidden gem. Didn't come out in 2019, I don't believe, although it did release on Steam in 2019. I don't want to commit that to the record, but it did release in 2019 on Steam, I think. I think this is an A tier game. I think this is absolutely an A tier game. The only reason that it's not an S tier game is because it's not fully out yet, so to speak. At least in my mind, I think there's probably a few more bits and bobs that they can change around before quality of life improvements and whatnot. But the developers are actively working on it. I don't know if it's made by one guy or not, but it's great. It's absolutely fantastic. I played a heck of a lot of it. I really think it was very, very good. Also, did fairly well on the channel. I also enjoyed it a heck of a lot. As I've already said, it was really, really good. Now, Orc Colony. I didn't really mean to put this one in here, because I think I actually played this in 2020. So, yeah, a little bit of a misnomer, this one here, but that's okay. That's fine. I'm gonna put this one in at a D, because the game hasn't been updated in like... It hasn't been updated since like June 2018 or whatever. It might have released on Steam in 2019 though. I can't actually recall. Yeah, but I mean, look, D for effort. D for effort on that one. I actually enjoyed this game a fair bit, although the gameplay loop is fairly easy. And the series also ended on a bug. So, I mean, the notable thing about the D tier games is that the end of the game has occurred when bugs have occurred. So there we go. Maybe that's the signifier of a true D tier game. But anyway, yeah, Orc Colony shouldn't really be in this list. Kind of added the image accidentally, but you know what? If you don't want to rank it, you don't need to rank it. I give you a pass if you want to stick it in glorified trash. That's totally fine. Right, Oxygen Not Included. I mean, Oxygen Not Included, I think, is definitely a B tier game. The only reason that it's not higher is that I feel like I can never do it justice and actually get far enough into the game in order to showcase, like, all of the proper endgame tech. But, I mean, it's a great game. I played a heck of a lot of Oxygen Not Included in 2019. And you know what? I don't regret a second of it. It was all fantastic. It was all fantastic. So, yeah, definitely real good. Now, this did actually release fully, I believe, in 2019. I think it was 2019. Maybe it was 2018. It was definitely sort of semi-recently. I don't know what that means. It was definitely sort of semi-recently. And, yeah, it was real good. It was real good. So that was good. Right, Pirates of the Mediterranean. Pirates of the Mediterranean series with Game Gabster and Ryan, the Solar Gamer. This actually started way back in 2018. I don't know. I feel like it was like March 2018, maybe. No, maybe not March. Maybe like August or September 2018. But it technically ran into 2019. So therefore, I feel like I'm gonna rank it. This was with the I can't even remember the expansion. I can't even remember the name of the expansion that this is. It's been honestly such a long time since I've even looked at EU4. I mean, I feel like I had an absolute blast with this series. The Game Gabster and Ryan are super fun to play with, and I actually did super well in that series. I did really great when I became Italy. I was the only one really that thrived. I say I was the only one that thrived. I was the only one that thrived in Europe. Everyone else went to the New World and became much larger than me. But I was a committed pirate, and I feel like I did the best job. I also thought the theming for that series was pretty fun, where we all played as like pirate republics or whatever. Yeah, a little bit of a novel, a little bit of a unique series there. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was really good fun to record, but probably not an A tier or an S tier, just because again I feel like I don't have the competence to play EU4 to the highest level. But that's not stopping me from like ranking it fairly highly, given that I had a great time recording it as well. Okay, Plutocracy, right? Plutocracy I played at the very end of 2019, and straight away this is going up to an A tier game, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind. It is deserving of A tierness. Why not higher? Well, I mean, it's pretty buggy. It's pretty buggy at the moment. There's not that much content. There's more coming. And I think eventually it will progress, in my mind, to an S tier game. In fact, there's no doubt about that. As long as the game is fully developed, I have absolutely no doubts that it's gonna reach the rank of S tier. Just having a little sip of tea there, keep myself hydrated and my voice active and ready. Yeah, so Plutocracy, I think at the moment, did pretty well on the channel. I mean, did very well on the channel. I dare say a large number of you watching this video right here were initially introduced to the channel because of Plutocracy. I dare say that that's the case. But yeah, great game. I think it's gonna go great places. We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, I think A tier. I think that's respectful, but also it shows that there is potential. There's potential to progress up to S tier. Right. Project Hospital. So, Project Hospital, I think I played towards the end of 2018. I don't know if I started the series in 2019 or if I started the series in 2018, but it's definitely here. Definitely released around that sort of end of year period. Excuse me, just had to mute my microphone to cough there. Again, maybe too much information, but just being real with you guys. Project Hospital. Yeah, I feel like Project Hospital is... okay, immediately I'm drawn to C tier. If I have any doubts in my mind about where a game should land, I think I kind of just like revert to sticking it in C tier. But I also feel like maybe that's not fair, because I really did have quite a good time with it. I feel like B tier is maybe a little bit more accurate. Project Hospital, by the way, is like a hospital management type game. It was really good. There was the other hospital game that released at a very similar time to Project Hospital called 2 Point Hospital, I believe. I think 2 Point Hospital was the one that sort of received all of the acclaim and all of the sort of attention. But Project Hospital definitely is a more sort of true to life hospital management simulator. I'm gonna leave it in B for now. I'm gonna leave it in B. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of a roundup near the end, so we'll talk about that. Radio Commander, I think that's a C. I think that's a solid C, actually. I had a pretty good time with it. It's just not really that interesting. Here's the thing about Radio Commander. So you play as like a battalion leader, and you have to control the location of your troops on like a map, but you can't actually see them. You can't actually tell where they are at any given time. You don't really see what they're seeing. I mean, the concept is really unique, but I think the reason that it's not really been done as a game up until now is that it's just not that interesting. I mean, you spend the entire time looking at a map, just like pressing like 3 buttons to like radio your team and ask for like locations. It's an interesting concept, but it's just like one of those concepts that I don't think translates very well to a video game. Like, it's just not that interesting. It's just not that interesting to stand in a room and watch. I mean, you don't even watch. You have to like manually adjust the location of your troops on a map. It's just not that interesting. It's just not that interesting. I don't think it translates very well. Although, in saying that, I had a fairly good time. I had a fairly good time with Radio Commander. I got the game early, played a little bit of it. It seemed to be pretty easy when I played it, but I think there were constantly like updates and stuff to it, so I think it got a little bit harder. Anyway, Resort Boss Golf. I feel like this is a D tier game, and I feel like this is a D tier game because I'm pretty certain that this series also ended with a bug. Even if it didn't end with a bug, I still feel like D tier is the appropriate place for it because it's just not that interesting. I don't know how the game has progressed since the time that I played it at the very start of 2019, but at the time, I mean, I had an okay time playing it, but there's just not that much to keep you there. I mean, sure, it's kind of fun designing your own golf course, your own golf holes, your own stuff like that. But I mean, there's just not that much there. There's not that much to hold you to the game, and so therefore, I think D tier probably a pretty appropriate place for it to go. Right, Rise of Industry. So this is a process management game, the 2130 component, which is like DLC for, I don't know, like a barren and futuristic kind of world where there's like smog everywhere. Okay, so there's a couple of elements to break down. Here. The first element is the 2130 element, the DLC. I don't actually think that the DLC makes for a very interesting expansion. I feel like dealing with like pollution and whatnot and like vat farms and, you know, like growing algae in like ponds under the water or whatever, I don't think it makes for a hugely interesting environment within which to play a process management game. Also makes everything look really grim and really horrible, which I know is what they're going for, but I'm just not that into it. The other thing is that Rise of Industry, I've come to realize and come to internalize, is just ridiculously like pernickety and really fiddly. It's a total faff. It's a total faff to get anything to go to where you want it to go. The process between thinking, I want this resource to go to this location, and I want this many to be sold. I want this many resources to go to this many location, and I want this many resources to be sold. The distance between that in this game is quite large, whereas, you know, the distance between that in another process management game, for example, is much less. Like Automation Empire, for example, does a much better job of just getting the resources that you want to get from this location to the next location. So I don't know. I feel like Rise of Industry is just fairly overly complex to its own detriment. And I feel like the 2130 expansion didn't really help with that. So I feel like C tier, probably the best place for it to go at this moment in time. But again, might end up getting changed around. Civilization 6. This was without the this was Scotland the Brave expansion. Look at this. Look at this thumbnail. This is one of the thumbnails that I'm most proud of in the entirety of 2019. That's right, I said it. This was without the Gathering Storm expansion. I didn't play the Gathering Storm expansion. I still haven't played the Gathering Storm expansion, but I feel like some of my ranking for this series will like include my biases towards or against the Gathering Storm expansion. I'm gonna put Civilization 6 in the C tier. I'd put Civilization 5 probably in the B tier, but definitely in the B tier or the A tier. I think Civilization 5 was a better game than Civilization 6. There's just something about Civilization 6 which I can't put my finger on, which I'm just not a fan of. I don't know what it is. But Civilization 5 is a better game. Is a better game now. At least in my mind anyway. Again, this list is all from my mind anyway. But yeah. Civilization 6, I feel like C tier, pretty appropriate place for it. But again, that's without having played the Gathering Storm expansion. That's without having played the game in, I don't know, almost a year. Right, Space Company Simulator. Okay, there are a couple of things to bear in mind. So, when this game came out, absolutely, categorically a D tier game. The reason why? It was basically unplayable. Saves didn't work, and it was pretty much impossible to play. However, I've been in touch with the publishers. The publisher has been in touch with me, whatever, and or the developers, the PR company, whoever it is that deals with sending content creators. I hate that term. Content creators like updates on the game, and there has been a bunch of improvements. In fact, there's been a bunch of bug fixes. There's been a bunch of patches to the game. I know for a fact, and I'm pretty certain that the game is now in better working shape than it was. However, I actually think that maybe upon further reflection, I'm gonna leave it at D tier. I'm gonna leave it at D tier for now, because I haven't played it. Although I do want to return to Space Company Simulator and give it another go. And I do suspect that perhaps it would be upgraded to a C tier if indeed I played it again. So let's leave it at D tier for now, and then maybe in the future it'll get moved up to a C tier. I say in the future. It won't get moved up to a C tier in this video. It's definitely staying as a D tier in this video. But in my mind, maybe it'll become a C tier game at some point. Okay, so that's that. Shellshock Live. This is from the Prestige. This thumbnail is from the Prestige series, but I didn't actually. The Prestige series wasn't actually a 2019 series, but I did actually play some Shellshock in 2019 with Rhapsody at the very, very start. And it's always a blast. It's always hilarious. I always love it. Shellshock Live, I feel, is an appropriate B tier game. The reason why it's a B tier game is because the progression system is utter garbage. Me and Rhapsody have like put in like 76 hours or something, or like I don't even know. Let me have a look right now. Actually, Shellshock Live, last played in March 2019. I've put in 139 hours, right? I put in 139 hours, and Rhapsody has put in... I think Rhapsody's put in a little bit more than me. Rhapsody, let me just search up right now whilst I'm here. I don't know why. Yeah, Rhapsody's... Okay, so we've literally put in about the same. So I've put in 139. Rhapsody's put in 140 hours. And we're both like level... I feel like we're both like level 80. And in order to get up to level 100, which is the max level, we need to like double the amount of, or even like triple the amount of experience that we needed in order to get to level 80, in order to get to level 100. So the thing that really destroys this game is the fact that the progression system is absolutely garbage and is absolutely broken. Also, Kyle The Kyle K Champ. That's right. He never replied to my email about an interview request, and responding as to why Guppies was so darn bad. But there you go. What can I say? Shellshock Live. It's a B tier. It would be an A tier if the progression system was better. And that's, by the way, that's a pretty harsh review, I think, for Shellshock, because I mean I've got a lot of mileage out of this game. I mean the vast majority of mine, and I don't want to say the vast majority, but maybe actually the vast majority of mine and Rhapsody's working relationship has, that sounds very strange, the vast majority of our collaborative time spent together has been in this game. So I feel like rating it B tier really does like express how much I bloomin' hate that progression system, because otherwise, without a doubt, it would be an A tier item. Because I mean, I feel like it should be an A tier or an S tier because I've had such a great time playing it with Rhapsody, but I hate the progression system so much. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. Anyway, that's that. Spaceland, this was a game that I did like a one-off on. I feel like this is a C tier item. A C tier item? Item? What am I rating a roguelike item thing system tier list? Ignore me. Yeah, Spaceland. It's basically like mini little XCOM. It's kind of cute. It's very derivative though, so I feel like C tier. Pretty appropriate. A little bit indie, a little bit unique. Yeah, I don't think there's too much to say about this game. It is what it is. It's what it is, as Joe Pesci said in The Irishman. It's what it is. And I feel like that's about it. Right. Spinortality. Not a great name. Not a great name at all, but really flipping good game. And definitely one that deserves to go in A tier. So this also did pretty well on the channel. It's a game all about cyberpunk management sim. Yeah, that's kind of what it is, but it's a game kind of like Plutocracy, and where you need to like take over the world and become like the most influential person. I guess that's also kind of the mission here. And it's really good. It's really good. I think I did like 2 series on it. It's brilliant. There are so many different ways to play through the game. You can like sort of, you know, take an adaptive approach. You can adapt your strategy to any given circumstance. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I really had a great time with it. But again, I haven't played that since like the end of 2018, the start of 2019. So you know, if you can't remember the game, then that's probably why. It's been a heck of a long time. Right, startup company. I need to disclose like straight from the outset that I was paid to do the first episode in this series. So I feel like my ranking will be biased. It will be biased in terms of like I was paid to do the first episode by the developers. I feel like this is a C tier game. I feel like this is a C or a D tier game. Maybe I'll actually stick it in D tier, because actually I feel like it doesn't deserve to be in D tier. Again, just consider my bias. Whilst I'm reviewing this. Obviously, I don't think I'm being biased. I think I'm just trying to give you a true reflection on my views. But this is where I think it deserves to be. The developers are constantly working on it. They're constantly updating it. The reason that I feel like it's a C tier is that the gameplay loop is fairly repetitive, and it doesn't really offer much out with the sort of like linear progression that you would expect in like this game. So it's fairly sort of cookie cutter. It's fairly sort of standard. It doesn't really deviate from the norm in these sort of like, I don't know, I guess like light tycoon games, I guess you could say. These sort of clicker tycoon games. This is kind of one of them. And it doesn't really deviate from the norm much. But there you go. Take that into consideration whilst you're doing your own list if you'd like. But yeah, I think startup company going in at C. I think that's reasonable. It definitely C. I don't think it can go any higher. Could maybe go down, but I think C tier is probably right about where it should be. Surviving the aftermath. I think without a shadow of a doubt gets a D tier rating. Honestly, maybe even a glorified trash rating. how harsh am I feeling? I mean, the fact that I've put it in glorified trash, and the more that I think about it, the more I actually think that that's a pretty appropriate place for it to be. The game when I played it, by the way, the game when I played it was super, super, super buggy. I think it still is super buggy. The developers are working on it. So maybe it's a D tier item. D tier. I keep saying D tier item. I feel like that's just like the standardized nomenclature for tier lists. I feel like D tier maybe is a bit more appropriate, because it is backed by Paradox, so it's published by Paradox even. So it's fairly big. It's fairly good. It's got a fairly bright future ahead of it, I think, and I think it will be a great game. I just think that at the moment it is absolutely trash. I can't decide. I can't decide between D tier and glorified trash. Right, whatever the case. Fine. Okay, Tabletop Gods. This was a series that I did with Rhapsody. This is, I guess, like a clicker... I guess like a clicker versus... I don't know what, like tabletop, like idle game sort of thing. It was tabletop strategy game. It's really good. It was made for VR, but it works really, really well in regular computerization. I think that B tier is probably fair. I had a really great time recording this with Rhapsody. We both had a romp. I think it's fair to say. He beat me a heck of a lot. We developed our own meta, as we usually do in these types of games. And we had a good time. What's holding it back? I mean, there were only a couple of levels when we played. There wasn't that much content. I guess probably because everything needs to be like modeled for VR and whatnot. So I guess it was probably a fairly large amount of effort in order to get it VR ready. For the PC, I thought it was good. I thought it was okay. I mean, also like my feelings on the game. The game was okay. The gameplay was fun, but it wasn't like didn't want to play like 1,000 hours of it. I just wanted to play it, if that makes sense. I had a time. It was good though. It was really good. It was good playing it with Rhapsody. That was what made it. Right. So if you guessed at the very start of the episode what my glorified trash game would be, this is the glorified trash game. I actually feel like it is a disservice to the two games that I already have in the glorified trash bin to put Tech Executive Tycoon in the same category. I actually think that maybe it's making me reevaluate Beekeeper and Survive in the Aftermath, because this game is so bad. It's so bad that I feel like I either need to remove these two games. In fact, I feel like I need to remove these two games and rename this level to absolute trash, because Tech Executive Tycoon was far and away the worst game that I have ever played, bar none. Like, not even close. It's not even close, dude. I mean, it is so bad. It is so unbelievably bad. It's buggy, it's broken, it's not fun. Any insult that you can throw at this game, it deserves it, because it literally is that bad. It literally is that bad. So there you go. Transport Inc. Basically a demo. I think there was a Kickstarter on for this game. I had a fairly good time whilst playing it, although it was also a demo. I think C tier is probably appropriate for it. It was a pretty fun demo. I think this game's going to be quite interesting when it comes out. Yeah, not a lot of content at the moment for the demo, but I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll probably be a C tier. Maybe it can progress up to a B tier. But I feel like I'm sort of ranking this game on its potential as well. And I feel like if I was just ranking it on the content that exists in the game at the moment, it would probably be D tier. But I think C tier is probably a more appropriate place for it to be. Cool. Transport Fever 2. Transport Fever 2. The real question is this an A tier, or is this an S tier as well? I don't actually know. I feel like this is a real. I feel like it's got to be an S tier, right? At the same time, it's like, does it really match up against Forager, Factory Town, For the King, and Little Big Workshop? I think it does. I think it does. I think it is an S tier. I think it is an S tier game. You know what? I think it is on the level. It is on the level of the 4 other games that I had here previously. Yeah, I think that is absolutely an S tier game. Okay. I mean, what more can I say? You've already heard me talk about Transport Fever 2 for, I don't know, like hundreds of hours. If you've watched the series, you'll have, I mean, we're what, like 20 hours into a playthrough, so, I mean, you've already seen me talk about it fairly considerably. I don't think there's much more to say about it. It's a great Transport Tycoon management game. I really enjoy it. It's brilliant. Tropico 6, I feel like Tropico 6 deserves a C rating. Maybe even a D rating. I actually feel like D is perhaps a little bit more appropriate, but this game is for this game. There's some different reasons for rating it D. I feel like the problem with Tropico 6 is that it's exactly the same as Tropico 5, which was exactly the same as Tropico 4. And I'm in the position where I think I've played Tropico 5 and Tropico 4 a fair bit, actually. I played both of them a fair bit. But Tropico 6 is just the same game. It's just exactly the same game. And, you know, you're paying, like, whatever it is, £30 for... £30, $40, whatever the price of a game is. I actually think I paid for Tropico 6 as well, which maybe makes me a little bit more bitter about the whole experience. I should mention that the vast majority of these games I have received for free. I probably shouldn't have waited 1 hour and 6 minutes to mention that, although if you see the like little thing in the comments in the description down below, there is a little disclaimer which says that I receive pretty much every game that I play on the channel for free, which is I guess like a little bit of a humble brag, but it's not meant as a humble brag. It's just something that you need to consider when you're hearing my views. But anyway, I can't remember if I paid for Tropico 6, but the game is just the same. The game is just the same. The game is just the same as every other Tropico game ever, and it's kind of a bit grating to just play the same game. Like the theming is what makes Tropico 6 great, or the theming is what makes Tropico great. The fact that you are, in control of a little island, and you have to go through the ages of the island. You have to get independence, world wars, all that nonsense. But Tropico 6 is just the same as Tropico 5. Tropico 5 was a fine game. Tropico 6 is just the same game as Tropico 5. There's no reason why you'd get it. Okay. It really kind of irritates me. It grinds my gears a little bit, which is why I feel like you're in the bin of shame down at the D tier. Cool. Okay, U-Boat. I did 1 episode of this in 2019. I feel like it's a C tier. I feel like it's a C tier for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like the gameplay was a little bit boring. Yeah, the gameplay was a little bit boring. I don't know. I just didn't really gel with the game. I don't know if you can really... Can you fault me for that? I don't know. I didn't gel with the game. I feel like I don't get it. I'm not super sure about U-Boat. We'll maybe come back to that one at the end and give it a little bit of a review. Barotrauma. Okay, so I feel like this is under normal circumstances a B tier game. I feel like there is latitude to bring it up to an A, because I had such a great time playing with Rhapsody and Rito. But I think that I've got to rank it, considering a few factors. The first of those factors is that when we played, we didn't do a great job. There wasn't that much sort of coordination, as you can imagine, between myself, Rito, and Rhapsody. So I feel like we didn't really express the fullest potential of Barotrauma. I feel like in general, though, it's a B tier game. I feel like B tier is actually a fairly accurate reflection of how much I enjoyed this game. But definitely, if I was ranking it purely on how much I enjoyed playing with the people that I played with, it would be an A tier game, if that makes sense. So that's something else to consider. Right. Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. I mean, there is only one place for this to go. There is only one place for this to go, and it's going straight there. That's right, all the way up to an S tier. This game did fairly well on the channel. still does fairly well on the channel, and deservedly so. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm waiting for a little bit of inside gossip here. I'm waiting for a new patch before picking up this game and playing it again, because it's fantastic. You build your own city, you build your own Soviet city, you build like literally everything. Everything that is concerned with the operation of a city, you build it, and it's a process management game. It's great fun. It's really, really good. I played it like twice, and I played it on stream, and it's just fantastic. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. I love it to bits. It's fantastic. Okay. Now, this next one, which you may have even forgotten about, because this was a heck of a long time ago. This was Stellaris, or this is Stellaris, the YouTube empire that I did. I recorded this with Game Gabster. This game starts off as a very optimistic little romp around the galaxy, and then it sort of proceeds into just me and Gabe just moaning and, you know, telling each other how much we hate the mechanics in Stellaris, which is bad, actually, which is bad, because we hate the sort of fighting in Stellaris. The combat is absolutely garbage. I feel like Stellaris is a D tier. I feel like Stellaris is a D tier in my mind, and that, bear in mind, that was I enjoyed. I like, of all of the series that I've recorded in 2019, I feel like this is definitely a top 5. Like, I really enjoyed recording this with Gabe. It was really, really good. Gabe's just a great guy, but I feel like it's a D tier because I hated the combat mechanics so much, and it's a D tier even considering how much I enjoyed playing it with Gabe. So yeah, Stellaris down at a D tier. Maybe if they fix the combat, which I think they are doing with the next patch, then we could see it progress up the levels. I reckon B tier is probably about where I would put it if they fix the combat. If they fixed everything about it, it would probably be B tier. But for now, I think it's D tier. I think that's probably about right. And we've actually come to the final game, which is Orbital. Now, this is one of the other thumbnails that I'm the most happy about from 2019. I think it turned out real nicely, don't you think? That's right, Orbital Potato Rhapsody. Look at that text. It's brilliant. Yeah, recorded this with Rhapsody. It's a sort of strategy galaxy, I don't know, PvP game where you have to like curve objects around planets and like consider gravity. It was real good. We had a great time recording this. I think this is gonna go in B tier. I don't think that's too unfair on it. I had a great time recording it with Rhapsody, and it was just really great. It was great. It was lovely. There's not much content. But you know, there's always like a meta that me and Rhapsody develop whenever we're playing a game together, and that certainly developed throughout the course of Orbital. So that was real good. There is something that I should probably mention. There is no Minecraft. There is no Minecraft on this tier list. I feel like I can't really rate Minecraft, even though technically I started playing it in 2019. The series I started in 2019. I just feel like I can't rate Minecraft. That's not very, you know, that I don't know. I feel like I can't rate it, so I haven't added it in. But there we go. Okay, so that is the completed tier list, with the exception of Orc Colony. Everything was played in 2019. Some of the series were started in 2018, but all of the series here were started in or were played in 2019. Forager just not on the YouTube channel. Right. Are there any amendments that I want to make? So let's go through them all. So S tier, we've got Forager, Factory Town, For the King, Little Big Workshop, Transport Fever 2, and Soviet Republic. I think that is undisputable. I think that is accurate. Right, so for A tier, we've got Astroneer, Automation Empire, Democracy 3, Despotism 3K, Evil Bank Manager, Mindustry, Plutocracy, and Spinortality. I think those two rows seem absolutely spot on. It's interesting actually to note, of those two rows, those are the two rows where all of those games did fairly well on the channel. Like, all of those videos did fairly well on the channel, I think. Like, all of those series, those two rows are basically the the big series, of the Orbital Potato YouTube channel from 2019. So maybe I've just subconsciously ranked how well everything did on the channel. Maybe that's what I've actually done. How well did everything do on the channel in a ranking? Well, you know, you can see for yourself how well everything is done, and compare it to the tier list. But yeah, most things that did well on this on those two levels did really well on the channel in 2019. Right, so for B tier, we've got Archeo Shinar, Automa Chef, City Skylines Campus, Islanders, Kingdom 2 Crowns, Oxygen Not Included, EU4, Pirates of the Mediterranean, Project Hospital, Shellshock Live, Prestige, even though it wasn't the Prestige series that I did, whatever, Tabletop Gods, Barrow Trauma, and Orbital. I also feel like that is a fairly accurate category. Yeah, I don't dispute that. I think that's fair. C tier, we've got Academia, School Simulator, Jurassic World Evolution, Aquaculture, Brewer, Iritus, Lord of the Dead, Hearts of Iron 4, The Man, the Guns expansion, Unite the Anglosphere, EarthX, we've got Flotsam, we've got Production Line, Radio Commander, Rise of Industry 2130, Civilization 6, Scotland the Brave, Spaceland, we've got Startup Company, Transport Incorporated, and U-Boat. This is where it gets a little bit confusing, a little bit sort of could go either way sort of level. Let's finish out D tier first. So D tier, we've got At the Gates, Orc Colony, Resort Boss Golf, Space Company Simulator, Tropico 6, and Stellaris. I feel like D tier needs some more friends down there. But I'm trying to think, is there anything in C tier that I would put in D tier? Not Academia, that's definitely a C tier. Jurassic World, I feel like that's also definitely a C tier. Aquaculture, that's a C tier. Brewer, that's a C tier. Iritus, that's a C tier. Hearts of Iron, that's a C tier. EarthX, definitely C tier. Flotsam, definitely C tier. Production Line, definitely C tier. Radio Commander, the more that I think about it, I think that actually probably deserves to be a D tier, just because of how badly I think it works as like a video game. Rise of Industry, maybe that also deserves to be D tier, but I think I'm gonna leave it C tier for now. Civilization 6, yeah, that's a C tier. Spaceland, yeah, C tier. Startup Company, yeah, C tier. Transport Inc., it's a demo, I've talked about it already. And U-Boat, also a C tier. You know what? I think that's probably where I'd call C tier and D tier complete. Glorified Trash, Beekeeper, Surviving the Aftermath, and Tech Executive Tycoon. I also think that is a true reflection. Now, I don't want to tell you how to do your own lists, your own strategy tier lists, whatever. But I feel like the Glorified Trash bin, it shouldn't be that big, because Glorified Trash is literally trash. So I think like three to 5 games in the glorified trash bin is probably about the limit, at least for me. Okay, but yeah, I think that's it. I think that's my tier list. I think that's Orbital Potatoes 2019 strategy game tier list. As I've said, make your own. Let me know what you think. Take a screenshot, post it in the Discord. I'd be delighted to hear what you've changed from me. I think if I had to make some predictions from what you guys think, I think you guys might have Shellshock. I think some of you guys might have Shellshock Live a little bit higher, for sure. I think some of you might have Plutocracy in S tier. Some of you guys might have EU4 a little bit higher. Some of you definitely will have Hearts of Iron 4 a little bit higher. Some of you might have Production Line a little bit lower, I think. And some of you might have Stellaris a little bit higher. That would be my sort of like main predictions. I mean, I'm sort of on Civilization 6. Some of you guys might have that a little bit higher as well. I'm sort of like looking I'm looking at like the big games here, the big, I know, not like AAA releases, but like properly large strategy games, i.e. Stellaris, Civilization, Hearts of Iron, EU4, yeah. And just sort of thinking, I mean, those are the games that you guys have probably most likely played on this list, and therefore you're going to be able to rank them, you know, more accurately than all of the little sort of indie games, which I feel like I've played, which is sort of like a little bit more unique to the channel than, you know, a little bit more unique rather than sort of general consumption. Most people won't play a bunch of indie games, but of course I will. But yeah, this is it. This is the 2019 strategy game tier list. Let me know if you've got any comments down in the comments down below. Let me know if you've liked this. I feel like this is a fairly unique little video. There's also a face cam. Hello. If you haven't seen me up until now, then wow, you'd be missing out. But yeah, post in the Discord. Let me know what you've got, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Thanks as ever to my fantastic Patreon supporters, which I can pull up by doing this. That's right, you can't see me down in the bottom right, but I figure that doesn't matter. Thanks as ever to my fantastic Patreon supporters who help me do videos like this. If you're interested in helping out over at the Patreon, you can find the link down in the description down below. But for now, from me, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.